Welcome. You've arrived at the Inner Atrium. This is not a place of instruction. It is not a place of urgency. And it is not a place where anything is demanded of you. Nothing here needs to be proven. Nothing must be earned. You have not arrived late, and you are not behind. This space exists for something quieter, for reflection, for perspective, for the moments when the world feels loud, insistent, and unfinished, and you need somewhere steady to stand. In older times, an atrium was the heart of a home, an open space held at the center, light above, stillness within. People did not rush through it. They passed slowly. They adjusted their breath there. They gathered themselves before moving on. The atrium was not a destination. It was a pause, a threshold between the outer world and the inner life. This inner atrium serves the same purpose. You may notice that I do not rush my words here. That is intentional. There is very little in the world that invites slowness anymore. Even rest is often treated as something to justify. Even silence is filled quickly, as though it were a problem to be solved. But stillness is not empty. It is not wasted time. It is not a failure of momentum. Stillness is where meaning settles. Here, we speak carefully, not because the words are fragile, but because you are. This is a place to lay things down, not forever, just for a moment. The questions you've been carrying, the tiredness you haven't named, the quiet sense that something inside you has been asking for gentler attention. You do not need to arrive prepared. You do not need the right mindset. You do not need to be calm already. If you are weary, you are welcome. If you are uncertain, you are welcome. If you are simply listening while the rest of life continues around you, you are welcome. In this space, we will speak about rest, not as a reward, but as a rhythm. We will speak about attention, about patience, about what it means to live with intention in a world that constantly pulls you away from yourself. Sometimes I will offer reflections, sometimes stories, sometimes nothing more than a thought to sit beside you for a while. There is no lesson to extract, no action you must take afterward. If something stays with you, let it stay. If it doesn't, let it pass. The atrium was never meant to hold you forever, only long enough for you to remember your own pace. So settle here, if only briefly. Let the noise remain outside these walls. Let the breath soften. Let the moment widen. You are not required to do anything next. You are simply here, and that is enough. That is intentional. The mind understands more when it is not pressed. Here, thoughts are allowed to arrive in their own time. You do not need to agree with everything you hear. You do not need to remember it all. You only need to listen in the way that feels natural to you. Some people come here to think, some to rest, some simply to sit with another presence for a while. All of those reasons are enough. I will speak to you from experience, not perfection, from years of observing how people carry their lives, how they exhaust themselves trying to be everything at once, how rarely they are taught to pause without guilt. What I offer here is not motivation, it is perspective. If you choose to return to this place, you may find that certain themes appear again and again. Attention, time, discipline, rest, meaning, not as answers, but as questions worth living with. You may listen while walking, while resting, while the day settles around you. There is no correct posture for reflection. Before we continue, I want to say one thing clearly. Nothing is required of you here. You do not need to improve. You do not need to resolve anything. You do not need to be ready. You only need to arrive. In the next reflection, we will speak of tiredness, not as a flaw, not as a failure, but as a human signal, one we are rarely taught to honor. If you are already feeling that weight, you may find something familiar there. For now, remain here a moment longer. Let the noise recede. The inner atrium will still be here when you return.